Today's topic is, of course, behavioral patterns for boys who grew up without a man or without a father. The boys who grew up or grow up still without a father, the good ones, the good boys. We are talking of the good boys, but sometimes we call them the mommy boys, the mommy sons, or the mommy boys. So we're talking about the consequences of growing up without a father. Consequences of growing up without a father. What are the tendencies? What are the trends? What are the tendencies? What are the disadvantages? What are the challenges? And what are the things that we need to pay attention to if we are those kind of people, or if we know those kind of people, or if you are even ladies, single ladies, but you are growing up with your children who don't have a father, so that you know how to deal with a situation like that. And this evening, I promised to talk about the attitude of, or the relationship of these kind of boys with women. Attitude to women. How do these people relate to women? I'm talking about the people who grew up without a father, but who are supposedly good, who are well behaved. The boys who grew up without fathers, but they are well behaved, they are quiet, they are not the violent and the radical type that we saw a few days ago. That is the first category. The first category are those ones who are aggressive, and we call them the aggressors. But these ones, we call them the mother's boys or mommy boys. They are well behaved, they are quiet, but they have some disappointment inside of them. They have some fear inside of them. They have some concerns inside of them, but they don't display this outside. They don't display it outside, so they just keep it inside them. So unlike the first group of people that express all their disagreements and fear and concerns outside, they express it in a more lousy way. But these ones that we are talking about, the good boys, they actually behave more, much more responsibly, but they behave better. But later on in life, and their behaviors don't really line up very well. So let's talk about how these good boys or the quiet boys behave in relations to women. And I've spoken about that a little bit in the morning, but we are continuing right now. Now, when a boy grows up without a father and is being submitted, either through by breaking him, he's been submitted to be quiet and he's been taught to agree with everything, or maybe he's just been submitted because of fear of consequences, or maybe because he's just quiet because of his temperament, because he's melancholic or phlegmatic, so he's more quiet and he's not so violent, it's more introvert than extrovert. So it's not an extrovert, it's not expressing himself loudly and outwardly. But when it comes to attitude with women, these guys most often end up depending on women to survive. They normally depend on their parents to survive, and on their mothers especially. These kind of boys, even though they are grown-ups, they still want to live with their mothers. And they compare every woman they come across with their mothers. And they want to marry their mother in another woman. And most of the time, they are not just looking for a similarity between their future wife or their wives and their mothers, but sometimes they want their wives to perform the function of their mother to them. So they will actually lie down on the bed and expect the mother to do everything for them. And so that is a problem with this kind of boys when they grow up and become a man Of course, most of them actually don't want to marry. Most of them don't want to marry because they are afraid of forming their own families. And they are afraid of living outside of the home. They are more comfortable with the status quo and with the place where they are more, they are safer. They are more comfortable with the comfort zone of their family. They are more comfortable with the comfort zone of their family. So they are not in a hurry to go and create or form their own family. As a matter of fact, they want to stay with their mother most of the time, and they stay in the home. Some of them stay unmarried in their homes till they are 30 or they are 40. And but to make things worse, even though some of these people are brilliant, they might be brilliant and wise and even study well and have a degree, but they are not in a hurry to go and get a job. And if they get a job, it's good. They will just go and just be working, but they don't aspire to reach greater heights. So if they get one job, they will just sit in that job and be going there and just working without ambition, without big ambition to become better, to become the best, and to conquer. And so they have it, but they are always more afraid to take the first step. And God forbid if these kind of people lose their job, because if they lose their job, that is, they just would prefer to stay at home. And if they are with their parents, they stay with their parents, and they will be given an excuse that they don't have a job. But if they are married, that is worse. If they are married, what they do is that they push their wives forward. They push their wives forward to go and do all the work, to go and do all the hard work, while they sit down at home and they are watching television. And they have an excuse. They say they don't have a job. So most of these people, when they lose their job, it's a crisis. Even though the woman, is getting pregnant, the woman is having to look after the children, the woman has to do a lot of things in the family, in the home, cooking and all that. But the man still does not care and will still expect the lady to go to work and bring a salary. So that is a tragedy. That's why growing up without a father could be very disastrous. And maybe you are the father, but the father was not there. The father was not actively there, and he was not a real man, or he was an absentee father. He was an absentee father. So if he's an absentee father, those are the consequences you see in some of these men. And they're basically marrying just to look for a second mother who will keep on taking care of them and taking most of the responsibilities upon themselves. And the reason this is bad is because any woman in her right mind at least, wants to marry somebody that she could rely on. A woman wants to marry a fortress. A woman wants to have somebody that she could, trust. She could fall back on. A woman actually is in need of covering. A woman is in need of a pillar. A woman is in need of a foundation. And that's what a man brings to the table. That's what a man is supposed to be offering a woman. But in this case, this second category of boys who grew up without a father figure in their lives, they are rather expecting their wives to be the fortress for them. They are rather expecting their wives to be the pillar for them. They are rather expecting the woman to take the first steps, to take initiative. I mean, I'm sure some of you women know what I'm talking about. Normally it's natural for the woman to always ask the man for decisions and for his decisions. But most of these men, they will normally just say, you go ahead and do it. They will just leave the responsibility on the lady, and they will push the lady forward to be the one to do all the work, all the hard work. So basically, if you don't mind, I will show you the photograph of what it looks like. This is the closest photograph to this that I could think of. You see that? Those are the boys that grew up without a father. And the second category, the withdrawn boys, the melancholic boys, the quiet ones, and the mommy boys, the mama boy or mama baby or mama child or whatever you call them. And the woman carries all the responsibility. The woman has to take care of him, in fact. She has to work, she's dressed up like going to work. And he's enjoying his show, he's watching TV. And having fun that she's taking all the responsibility. Mama boy. And she's taking all the responsibility, even for him. He's not even taking responsibility for himself. And and a lot of things that he's supposed to do for himself, he's still waiting for the woman to do it for him. He's still waiting for the woman to do it for him. And that's tragic. That's tragic. So, it's a dangerous thing when a man grows up without authority, when a man grows up without confidence, when a man grows up without self-assurance that he needs to really lead. When a man is not a man, when a man is not a real foundation, all the weight falls back on the shoulder of the woman. Even though the woman might be smaller in size and, in endowment from God, she's supposed to be supported. She's supposed to be the weaker vessel. But unfortunately, she ends up, being the one shouldering all the responsibility of the family. And if they have children, it's even worse, because then she has to take care of all those children. The responsibility to make the money for them, the responsibility to take care of them, send them to school, pay for their school fees might end up being on that woman. So the question that I have is that why does a woman need a husband like this just for the sake of marrying? Why would a woman want to just tell herself she's married, or she wants to carry somebody else's name in the name of marriage? Maybe it's better to just live alone rather than, being married to to someone like that. So in this kind of situation, what this boy needs to do, or this man needs to do, is to quickly go and find a father figure. This kind of person needs a father figure, needs a pastor or a leader or a coach or an example, somebody that he sees Christ in, someone who is very responsible, someone who is a good example, someone that he could listen to. He has to take an informed decision, to listen to the person. So they have to listen to the person, and the person has to mentor them, and they have to take them through. They have to take them through rigorous training, and some boot camp, some discipline processes, maybe even doing sports, discipling them, really, basically. And that is one of the ways to fix this kind of problem. Because if this kind of man does not listen, it becomes very bad. It becomes very bad. Sometimes the parents could have influence on him, but since he didn't have a father, it's difficult for somebody now to be influencing him when he's already 40 years old or 30 years old. So it's a painful thing. So this kind of men, they don't show a lot of initiatives. They don't show a lot of initiative, and most of the time he's waiting for the girl to show initiative. Even when she is about to marry, even when he's planning to marry the wife, most of them are so slow that the woman is suffering. The woman had known like a year or 5 years before that she's supposed to be the wife. And he is so slow in coming forward or letting her know that he's the husband of the girl. And he is almost waiting for the girl to propose to him. almost waiting for the girl to propose to him. Why? Because he's so slow and he's so not bold. He's so timid, and yeah. So even from that, it could be sin. Somebody is writing that the ladies don't know. They don't notice that there is a problem like that. No, you notice, especially with this category of men. It is very clear because they are too soft, and you can see that softness in a lot of various ways. Another problem these boys have, this kind of men have, is that sometimes they marry women that are older than them. They marry more older women, and because they are looking for a mother figure to marry, and sometimes even when they marry their age mate, they still want to relate to that age mate as if she's the mother. So they want her to be responsible for it. He wants her to be responsible for the family. He wants her to work for the family, to bring him money. He wants her to lead, if they have a business, to be the one, be in charge of the work. And he just wants to go to work, and or maybe he will not go to work. Just, if he likes, he will go to work. If he doesn't like it, doesn't go to work. Yeah, and these are the kind of men that prefer to have sugar mummies, because they need a woman to care for them. It's a horrible thing. In case, another problem that could happen in the case of these men is that if they have a problem, like if there is a crisis in the family, let's say quarrel or conflict, what the man will do? The man will just run away from the house. Most of the time when they have problem in the house, he just leaves. Either he leaves or he just goes to another room and locks himself up, or he goes away altogether. He doesn't take responsibility. He will just let the woman fix the problem by herself. But in some cases, the men actually go back to their parents. Or the men go back to their mothers. And a man like this, most of the time, when anything happens in the family, when there is a crisis in the family, he's not taking responsibility. Normally it's the women that call their mothers, right? But in this kind of case, the man will be calling the mother, or be calling the brothers or the sister or some relatives to take care of the situation. And they are always complaining about their wives to their mother or to their relatives. They are always, always complaining, to their family. So their family members are always interfering in the affair of the family. And their family, their mothers and their relatives are always coming to teach the woman how to be a wife and to interfere in her life. Some of them, especially in Europe, some of them will actually, not leave their house. They will not even leave their mother's house. So some of them bring their wives to their mother's house, and they will be living with their parents, with the mother and the wife and the new wives, and the new wife doesn't know who. And the new wife will be wondering, who is she in this family in the first place? Who is the wife? Is it the mother or the new wife? And sometimes he wants the new wife to cook like the mother. And if the wife will not cook like the mother, sometimes he's going to be eating the mother's food only. Yeah. So this is because these kind of men, even though they might be 40 years old or look big in the outward, but they are still children inside, because they didn't have the affirmation and they didn't have the assurance that a father normally would bring to a boy when they are growing up. That's why every boy needs a father. A father needs to be there to give that kind of person confidence. A father needed to be there to give that kind of man assurance, and to establish him in his character, to build him up in courage, to build him up in responsibility, to build him up in proactiveness, in being initiative, and to build him up in strength. But when the father was not there, when the kid was growing up, and if that kid happens to be the quiet one like this, the melancholic and phlegmatic child or son, he grows up and becomes a liability. It becomes a liability to the family. It becomes a liability to other men, other women. Another thing in this category of boys or men is that up to 30% of them would not like to marry. Up to 30% of these men don't even want to marry. If they are so passive that they would rather live what they call it, in adultery or cohabiting. They would rather cohabit. You see a lot of cohabiting widespread right now, and people are just, they're just looking at their own comfort, how it's going to be comfortable for them. So normally they will just move in to a woman's house, or a woman will move to their house, and they will just be living. They will just be cohabiting with a woman without taking the responsibility to go all the way and show the commitment. And they don't show too much commitment. So, especially in white societies, even in black society, they just live with the girl, with the woman, and they don't marry her most of the time. 30% of this kind of category of men don't want to marry. They want to live the way it's convenient for them. They want to live. Some of them are not even bold enough to do the marriage, and because they are saying, "Oh, I don't want noise, I don't want this, I don't want that." They are ashamed. They are just not bold enough to face it. They are not bold enough to face it. Or if they work, on the other hand, if these kind of people get a good job, they will just be working and bringing money home and just behave, try to behave and things like that. But unfortunately, they also have the tendency of falling into depression. Sometimes they could get discouraged easily, and sometimes they lose interest in whatever they do, and they might want to drop out or stop doing whatever they are doing. A lot of them have problem with pornography because they are sitting down quiet most of the time on their own in their own world, and they are not too social. These kind of people, they don't socialize too well, and they sit in the house. You think everything is okay with them, but they have their struggles and their challenges. Even though they are not the type that will easily go to prison like the other ones, the other category. They are not the violent ones who will be doing too much of drugs and violent things, gangs, but they have their quiet challenges, like smoking. Some of them just sit down and smoke all day. But thank God most of us are Christians. But some of them sit on pornographic addiction, unfortunately, and some of them just sit down on dependency on their wives to do everything for them. So, in some cases, maybe in Africa, I think, it is the mother of this kind of woman, of this kind of boys, who actually find wives for them. Sometimes these boys, they are so disinterested in marriage that the relatives of the mother, or even the mother herself, will be the one to go and look for a wife for this kind of guys and bring the wife to him instead of him being the one to look for his own wife. So those are the challenges some of these boys, some of these men could have. They sit down at home and watch television a lot. But with the appearance of internet now, a lot of them are just on the internet, just sitting down on the internet and not doing anything much. They just want to have the minimum provision, the minimum income, and then and then they think everything is good, and they don't do too much to help carry the burden of the home for the children. They sometimes, if they are good, they could do what you tell them to do, but they will not initiate it. But they always lose, some of these people always lose job also. They lose job a lot because they are not hot at work. They are not very initiative at work. And those kind of people, other more initiative people could lead them to lose their job. People take their job and opportunities from them. This kind of men also get discouraged fast. They get discouraged, so they could start doing something which might be a good thing, but if they don't see the result they want, if they don't feel that they are being encouraged, they could give up on it. And just give up on it. So these are some of the challenges that you will find. Now, unfortunately, in these kind of families, even when they are successfully married and they have children, up to 60% of their children also divorce or have problem in the family because the father was not there, and they don't normally take active participation in the life of their children. So, up to 60% of the family might suffer as a result. But probably one of the most sad and most tragic thing with this kind of men is that they are easily compromised. They are easily compromised into cohabiting with people of the same sex. So homosexuality is widespread among this kind of men because people could come to them and compromise them and force them to do that, or because they are ashamed and they are shy to approach the woman. Sometimes some men could just take advantage of that, unfortunately. Because sometimes those men, they are also looking for the protection and for the affirmation that they needed from their father, from other men. You remember that there was no father for them, and they needed that affirmation. So they are looking for affirmation. Sometimes they look for affirmation in older men. And these older men take advantage of them. And they think they will get affirmation and protection from these older men, but unfortunately most of these older men just begin to use them, and they don't give them the protection and the affirmation that they needed. They just turn them to. So some people say men are born as homosexuals. I really doubt that. I really doubt it. I think most of the people who are homosexuals today were compromised when they were growing up, or they were raped, or they were compromised, or they were deceived. And that's, most of the time. So I would not be in a hurry to judge people, and I would not judge any of these people that I'm talking about, actually. Even the homosexuals, I would not judge them, because you don't know their stories. You don't know where they're coming from. It's better to just extend the hand of love to them and to try to minister to them and bring them help and bring them healing and restoration, and let them know that just like God saved us from our sins, and all of us had our own sins when we came to God, and God saved us from those sins. So we should just let them know that God is ready to save them. God will be there for them as well, and that God could deliver from any kind of addiction or sickness or abnormality, but not with condemnation, but more with understanding and with love. So so older men just take advantage of this kind of boys and use them in most of the cases. Let me show you another photograph of the mother of this kind of men with their mothers. Sometimes the mothers make things worse because the mothers keep on caring for them and trying to solve their problem even though they are already grown ups. You see? Horrible, huh? This is a photograph of mama boy, mommy boy. He's big, but he's just totally irresponsible. He's handling all the responsibility to the mother and depending on the parents to help him. That's why now you probably understand why I say 50% of people don't even need to look into the side of marriage. Because how can you go and be married to this kind of man? You know, it will just ruin your life. I think personally that only 50% of men and women need to marry because they are not ready. Because most of the 50% are not even prepared. They are not prepared at all for marriage. They are not prepared at all for responsibility of marriage. And a lot of these men are in this state of mind. They are, they are mama boys, mommy boys. And if they are like that, you need to be wearing diapers for them. You need to be wearing diapers for them. And if you are wearing diapers, you're going to do that for your whole life. And if you want to become the wife of such a man, you have to wear diapers for your children, your little children, and for your husband too. So this is why a woman needs to look well before she leaves, and you must look at the character of the men that come to approach you. Even though they might be good, most of these guys behave well on the outside. They behave well. They are well behaved, but they don't have the strength of character. They don't have the inner strength. They don't. They are not so bold. They don't take initiative. They don't like to take burden upon themselves. They don't like problems. They try to escape from problems. They try to run away from problems. But marriage is all about problems. Marriage is all about problems. So if you don't want to solve problems, you don't look at marriage at all. It's not worth it to look at the side of marriage. Marriage is about solving problems. If you don't want to solve problems, don't go into marriage. And so but before you marry such a man, make sure that he has a very strong mentor or a strong authority in his life that is mentoring, who is mentoring him, who is leading him, that he listens to, somebody that he listens to, and you are sure that if anything happens, he will not escape, he will not run away from such a pastor or from you, and he will not be on his own, because then you have to be carrying him like this. You have to be carrying him like this all your life, and you say you are a wife, and you say you are married. And another problem is that their mothers will be coming to control the family and tell you how you are supposed to live and all the things that are supposed to be happening. They will be coming to tell you that you are wrong, that you are the bad wife, and that their son is good, and you are the one who don't understand him, you are the one who don't know. And that you are the one who is supposed to be more understanding, and they will be asking you to be the one in charge. 90% of the men in my generation in America are these kind of mother-seeking types. At least those are the kinds that she knows. That is horrible in our own experience. I mean, how can you be... how can you... That is just totally... Unfortunately, this is what is killing most of our women. These women work themselves to death. And the man goes ahead to marry a new lady in 6 months. Oh, not to... It's actually to death, physical death. It's not just figurative speech. Wow. She's talking about a woman dying, really, for real. Are you serious? And of course, the man will go and marry in 6 months. That is meant for you. And it's not because they are bad, though. It's because, their composition is different. And when I say it's not because they are bad, some women want to jump at me. Just because they are different. That's just the way, men need to be taught. That's why I'm saying if men are not taught, if men are not discipled, if they are not taught, forget about it. Just forget about it. That's why I say both men and women, 50% of them don't even need to look on the side of marriage. They don't even need to look at one another. They should just live their lives and face God's calling for their lives. This is a big burden on women when they marry such a man, but good opportunity for self-development if someone is already in that situation. Yeah. Better than to stay alone than marrying this kind of man. The worst thing is that the woman will be praying. You'll be going from one prayer meeting to the other, asking God to change that man. How come God? God doesn't have any business with that kind of thing. It's not God now. This is a question of personal responsibility. This is not a question of God. God will not come down from heaven and change a man who has not grown up, who has not been mentored, who has not been discipled. What will change him are the principles and the truth. It's not going to be changed by prayers. It's going to be changed. Prayers could help. Prayers could give him inspiration to go and work on himself. Prayer could give him, even prayer could give him the anointing, the touch, but that will just be for a few minutes, for a few days, for a few months. And then he still needs to build the foundation. We are not supposed to live by prayers or by miracles. We are supposed to live after God has touched us. He gives us the push so that we'll go now and use that grace, that moment of grace, to go and build in principles into our lives. If you don't build in principles, you'll not be able to function. You are supposed to function by principles and by the truth. So you can go and pray as much as you can. God could only touch him maybe to begin to work on himself. But God will not change him forever. It is the work that he does on himself that will change him. God will only touch him in sense of making him to go and begin to realize his state of mind and begin to work on him so that he will begin to change himself. I wonder why marry a mommy boy. In asking the question, I also realized that some women also look out for such men who they can be mothers to. I wonder why. They kind of like it that they are the ones taking care of the man. Yeah, I know why. There is a reason for that, because women have this sense of mother sense, A woman is a mother, and a woman have the need and the desire to take care of somebody else. But that need to take care of somebody else is an instinct. We call it a mother's instinct. That mother's instinct is meant for children, for our babies. But they are not. That instinct is not meant for our husband or for grown-up people. Even though it helps the woman to be softer and to be kinder, but not really to adopt the husband as the wife, as the child. Even though every woman acts like a mother to the husband in some states, in some instances, but not like we are talking now. Ladies, this type of situation is like a curse. It will keep on subtracting from you till there is nothing left of you. Yeah. Yes, you are right, Pastor. These kind of guys look for ladies that have made it. Yeah. Sad. I actually had an encounter with a guy, 10 years my senior, who told me that if a woman is interested in him, she should be responsible. She should be responsible for initiating the relationship. He said that she should be bold enough to speak. Can you believe that? He's even saying it. Most men will not say it. They will just use style to be quiet, but he's even saying it. I let the guy speak. I hate men like that always call everybody to interfere in the marriage. This is exactly my ex-fiancé. God knows why we didn't get married. Thank God. You should be happy. You should be happy for that. You should be thanking God for that. Ladies never settle for less than the best. You are a daughter of the Most High God. Yeah, but then the ladies must also develop themselves to be ready to live for their vision, to be ready to live alone and to fulfill their vision, to live for God rather than to live looking for men. Yes, I have seen men, even in Nigeria, living in their girlfriend's house, driving a car. Ooh, wow. My God. Man is supposed to have a lion's heart, not chicken's heart. Man encourages his family. Man provides for his families. Man protects his family. Yeah. Then his gifts. I'm jumping and shouting here now. Pastor, you are really hitting it hard. I've met that kind of a man. I had to run for my for my life. That kind of man easily breaks down when he faces any kind of challenge. Yeah. Somebody I know got married when money was finished. Pastor, do you think they are on computer, sitting on computer just like that? That what they are doing is chatting with other women while they are in the house of the other lady. This is so sad to hear. However, this platform is writing a new chapter for family development. Yep. Pastor Sunday, I know a man like that couldn't keep a job for 2 months. And in Nigeria, even the wife and we, our friends, used to think that it was bewitched by the stepmother. I now know better. Yes, because in Nigeria, everybody is thinking of witchcraft or generational curse. Everybody is blaming Satan for everything. This Satan, he has suffered. Satan gets to take the blame for everything, even for what he didn't do. I'm sure sometimes when we are blaming Satan, Satan is saying, "Oh, you guys, blame this one. I don't have hand in it. Oh. I don't have anything to do with this one. Do not be me." Oh. But we just, in our culture, is such that anytime there is a failure, anything they cannot explain, they just say it's Satan. That's living in a superstitious society. And that's why people like T.Y. Moore, we have to, I don't know if T.Y. is still there or not, but these are the kind of things we are supposed to do films on. And these are the kind of things we are supposed to do programs on, like that woman, Adelaja, or whatever. That we're supposed to do films and series and programs on this kind of occurrences that people are calling demons and Satan and generational causes, where in the real sense it's just behavioral patterns that need to be addressed. And these are just social issues that must be spoken to and that must be addressed. And instead of that, we are saying we are casting out demons and going from one deliverance house to the other. And that same mother, she will, after the man is married and is not successful, he's not having a job, he's having problem with the wife, the mother will still go and keep on going from one prayer house to the other, doing deliverance and praying for some deliverance or something like that. And the woman will still be thinking, "Oh, my son, my son, my son," and trying to take all the responsibility on herself. praying for him, fasting for him, doing deliverance from morning to night, and thinking that Satan is to blame. It's horrible, My people are perished for lack of knowledge. My people are perished for lack of knowledge. So the lady and the wife also is thinking, my husband is so good, oh. And he will be saying, you go to work. Most of that thing, Satan is stopping me from going to work. Make you go to work. So, and everybody is saying, Satan, it should be the mother in the village, or the grandmother in the village, or the stepmother or something. These stepmothers, how much they have suffered. And the village people have suffered too. If a guy can't even intimate the lady or chase her or approach her, that is a huge problem for me. Every lady deserves to be chased, to be approached. Yes, that's the way it's supposed to be. This is a social and psychological illness. You are the one who know that this is a social and psychological illness. Go to Africa, they will be telling you it's generational. They will be telling you it's generational cause. They will say, my uncle didn't marry, or my uncle didn't do this, he never succeeded in marriage, or this one never married well, and this one didn't happen. They will be telling you stories and bringing you biography of everybody that has failed. They don't know it's the cause, because of the consequences of lack of a father. This is unbearable to accept. No way will I open my eyes to see my son like this. I reject it in Jesus' name. Well, Deborah, it's good to reject it by faith, but if you don't teach your son, if you don't give him the principles, I'm sorry. It's not enough to just pray. It's not enough to just say, I reject it in Jesus' name. You reject or you not reject, or if he doesn't, build his character, if he doesn't learn to be a man, reject or no reject, or it might not have any effect on him, because he's not even aware that you are rejecting anything. He's just living his own life. So for him not to become like that, you need to train him, or you need to bring him to somebody, or take him to men who are responsible, could be examples to him, and who he could take as mentors that will disciple him. I think a mom can start helping them to behave like men if she has understanding. If she must be taught, she must have the understanding first. But they call themselves men now. I think there is something between their legs. But that's what I'm saying. That's the point I've been trying to make all this while. That the fact that people have something between their legs doesn't mean that they are men. That is not what makes a man a man. The thing they have between their legs is just saying that they are a male and they are a boy. But that doesn't mean that they have become a man, and they still need to grow into a man. Boys don't get born immediately to be a man. Jesus, even with Jesus, he said, unto us a child is born, but unto us a son is given. So he has to be given. Sons are not given birth to. Sons, unto us a child is born. Only children are born, but sons are given. Sons are not given birth to. They are not born. You are right, sir. Such women, mothers, think that their son is the best and the whole world is wrong. Pastor, you got this picture so well. The mothers will be looking for ways to cover up their track and poor preparation. They will either try to blame you if you are lucky. They will beg you to stomach it. Yep. I have seen a man with father and mother, but still mama boy. Yes, of course. Because the fact that a mother and father is there doesn't mean that the father is playing the role. And the fact that a man that you call a father is there physically doesn't mean that he even knows how to play the role. The fact that a man is physically there doesn't mean, when I'm talking about fatherless or who grew up without father, I'm not talking about growing up without father physically. Father could be there physically, but what I'm talking about is that the father never took responsibility for the boys, or the father was an absentee father, or the father never, was a man. Well, he was never there. He didn't train them. So when I'm talking about when boys who grow up without a father, I'm not saying the father was not there physically. The father could have been there physically, but not perform. Pastor Sunday, God bless you for this teaching. Yes, these mama boys are everywhere. May the Lord help us to overcome this temptation. Especially in the West, men are under heavy attack, especially in marriage. And with the advent of this feminism on the rise, men are beginning to take the backbone. Yes, in the West, yeah. In the West, it's terrible. Efrain Soto says some mothers overprotect their sons, making them weak, which result in men who do not understand their responsibilities in life and end up looking for a wife that will treat them as a mother instead. Yep, you are right, Soto. HMT is the solution for this type of men. They should go to a fatherhood retreat. Yes, HMT for fathers. Yes, I have a HMT, discipleship HMT here for fathers. So we could do that for such men. But you still need to push them to come. Sometimes some of them, to get them there is a problem. You are very correct, sir. The principles, absolutely, this is why I believe these messages must be preached in all corners of the earth. Thank you for helping to identify the problem, sir. Some don't even believe they have a problem. Pastor Sunday, yes, back home in Nigeria, we used to think that we only need to pray, even if we know about this problem, not knowing we need to let him know that he has to work on himself. Oh, if he doesn't work on himself, it doesn't matter how much you pray, my friend. You can pray as much as you want, but it's not God's responsibility to work on him. He has to work on himself. He's got to work on himself. Wow, it's like the whole world is full of those kind of men now. The first category, especially in Europe, I think Africa is a little bit better, and the Asia is, Arabs are a bit better. But Europe, bad case. Asia is better, and Africa. The second one, the first category and the second one, very scary. I see so many examples of men like that in my own family, but more in the second category. In the second category, yeah, well, it means there was no father there, and it means, the second category. These are just two categories of women need a help. No men to marry out there, only boys. Yeah, that's so sad. So that's why I think we should begin to teach the women to be more concerned about pleasing God rather than be more concerned about marriage. I think we should begin to teach the women that the most important thing on earth is not to be married, but the most important thing on earth is to fulfill the calling of God for their lives. The most important thing why God has sent us to the world is not to give birth to children, but to be able to fulfill what God has sent us for, what God created us for. Because when we get to heaven, there will be no family there, there will be no children there. Everybody is just the same, because that's not what matters. Marriage and family, all those things, those are earthly things. Those are things that are just belonging to the earth. They don't belong to eternity. We should begin to live and think of living for eternity rather than living for temporary, mundane things of the earth. Like, although family is important and children are important, spouses are great, but they are not there forever. Let's live rather for things that will be there forever. I so much want to commend you, Pastor, for this series. You have allowed God to use you to lose so many bonds that have held down both men and women for so many generations. I salute you, sir, and pray that God will bless you beyond your expectation. You've given so much hope to single mothers everywhere, and also help the absentee fathers to come to a greater understanding of themselves. I cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much, Maria. People always say behind every successful man there is a woman. I find it hard to get that, because some people use that to attack we women when we are not a slave to them. Well, that is just a playing word. You never take that word serious. I mean, that phrase, that sentence, behind every successful man is a woman. It's not to be taken seriously. I always look at it as a joke. It's a joke. It's not a principle to be lived by, because you cannot find that scripture, that quotation in the Bible. So it's not anything biblical, and you cannot take it as the bona fide truth. You cannot base anything on it. Never base your family on it. So when they are saying behind every successful man is a woman, that means the woman is carrying him. No. It's just a saying. It's just a saying. Some people are saying it. You don't have to believe in it. It's not true. It doesn't have anything to do with the truth. I think it's just an attempt. The way I look at it is that it's just an attempt to give the woman some credit. It's not because the woman has to do the work. It's just like to notice her, just like to let her know that you are here, that you are not forgotten, and that you are in my life. You play a role in my life, all that. But, the man himself is supposed to be responsible for his own success, so not the woman. For those women who are married to mama boys, what do you advise them to do? First of all, they must advise the men to go for help, to go for consultation, to get a mentor, to go together to see a specialist, and then another thing the woman has to do is to stop taking responsibility for the marriage, to stop doing what the man is supposed to do, to stop putting all the luggage and the weight of the family on herself. And actually, it will even be better for her to stay at home and just take care of the home front and the children and let him go and fence for the family from the outside. But you have to agree on that. You have to agree on that. But go and see a specialist or a mentor or, somebody that will be able to, that you will be able to listen to. If nothing is done to stop this phenomenon, women will take the leadership of the world soon. Yeah, that's what's happening in Scandinavia and in Europe. It's happening in Europe already. The men are beginning to become extinct. The Prime Minister of Britain now is a woman. The Prime Minister of Germany, or whatever you call her, is council, is a woman. All Scandinavian countries, many of them are women. Of course, the women are taking over the world. It's just America now that Hillary didn't win. Otherwise, women would have taken. Africa is the only one left standing than the Arab world. Because men don't know how to live. Kings and queens, pastor is exposing these issues so that we can rise up and begin to reposition ourselves. Put an end to foolishness. Take hold of our God-ordained destinies and fulfill purpose in a grand style. Thank you, sir. Yeah, that's why behind every successful person is himself. So no woman should be waiting for a man to help him to begin to fulfill our destiny. Behind every successful woman is herself. And behind every successful man is himself and God. And the woman too, is she herself and God. It was nice being with you today. God bless. Bye.